Bhagavad Gita is a book of mankind's collected experience of and answers to life's most basic questions. Who I am, from where do I come, what is my purpose and destiny, and most practically, how do I find happiness? These podcasts originate in the lectures of Neil Bhatt, a disciple of Swami Chinmayananda. They are presented here in 20 to 30-minute segments, each covering 3 of the Gita's 701 verses. Welcome to Gita Wisdom for Daily Living.
We have been discussing chapter 6, Dhyana Yoga, yoga of meditation and contemplation. So far in Bhagavad Gita, we have learned how to focus our mind and make it in a state of equanimity. So in the chapter 2, we learned the nature of the self. Bhagavan has revealed to us that the nature of the self is very different than what we are currently understanding. So we get just the gist of it. We get the knowledge about the self, but we have no experience, or we didn't have any means to achieve that experience. So in the next few chapters, we learn Karma Yoga. So Karma Yoga is like a sadhana. There's something I'm seeking, and how to achieve it, and how do I make myself worthy of achieving it is sadhana. So Karma Yoga, which we learned in chapter 3, 4 and 5, is a method of preparing ourselves in sadhana. So in that, Bhagavan has said that the first step of sadhana is karma phala tyaga. With that karma phala tyaga, you should be able to develop a balanced mind. Because you do not have any expectation for the fruits, you gradually will lose selfishness, and therefore you will reduce your ego, and therefore you will be able to handle any situation with equanimity of mind. The situation may be conducive or unconducive, but you will be able to remain calm in that situation. That's your first achievement, and that Bhagavan called it Samatvam Yoga Uchyate, that you achieve the state of yoga. Now this yoga word is coming throughout the Bhagavad Gita in various contexts. Every chapter it's called Arjuna Vishad Yoga, Sankhya Yoga. So everything is considered yoga because it leads me to the unity with my Supreme Self. Understanding my situation where I am, accepting my situation, and then make progress from there is yoga. And in that case, even the Visad itself is yoga. Visad is your first step. When you realize this is not the most optimal life that I'm living, that's the first step of yoga. The first step towards uniting yourself with your true self, which is all happiness, Satchidananda. So what we have seen so far is preparation. And then in this chapter, Bhagavan opened the chapter by saying that Aruruksoho Munehe Karma Karanam Uchyate. Yeah, now if you have come to the conclusion that you have been practicing this for a while, and now you want to gauge yourself, where am I right now and what should I be doing? But once if you find yourself that you are still seeking that balance of mind, then Karma Karanam Uchyate. Continue performing actions in that attitude of Karma phala tyaga, without expecting results. You have a goal, but no expectation. You are performing action for your goal, but you are not expecting particular result. Bhagavan says you have to continue practicing that till you achieve Yoga Rudha status. For Yoga Rudasya tadha samah karanam uchyate. At that point, once you achieve that balance of mind, and you have a control over your mind that it does not get affected by any situation outside, then shamah karanam uchyate. Then inactivity, quiescence is prescribed. At that point, you don't have to have any goal to achieve anything. And therefore, everything you do is inactivity. To gauge yourself where you are, Bhagavan has described all the qualities of a yogi. He sees everything with an equal eye. He sees everything sane. We obviously have lots of difficulties in understanding what is the sameness that Bhagavan is talking about? Because he said only yogi achieves that. Yogi who has practiced the art of karma yoga and perfected himself, he starts seeing this oneness. We are obviously trained in our normal education, normal preparation to live this life to differentiate things. So we differentiate things from this is good and this is not so good. This I should pursue, this I should not pursue. So differentiation is the method we have employed to make progress in our life. Differentiating which way to go and which way to avoid. Bhagavan said now you have to go a step above that and start seeing the sameness in all things and being, in all outcome, in all experiences. You start seeing what is similar rather than differentiating why that experience was different than this experience. See what is similar in all these experiences that you have in your life. And so many times we find that the thing or an experience which I consider unconducive at the time, it actually becomes a stepping stone for you to make progress in your life. So many times I think if that had not happened, I won't be doing what I'm doing right now. But at that time it felt like my life is going to fall apart. But once at that sense of similarity, when you start developing, then you develop that equanimity or that sense of seeing sameness in everything. You can only do it yourself. Atmaivahi atmano bandhuho. Your self is only your friend, and therefore raise yourself by yourself. In other words, these are self-efforts. The seeking is self-motivated activity, and therefore you have to practice yourself. And then gauge your progress and see where you are. When you start seeing similarity in things versus dissimilarity, then you have achieved the first step of becoming a karma yogi. Now you are ready for contemplation. Yoga rudasya tadasa samah karanam uchyate. So that inactivity, now I can focus on what is that which I call myself. So then we have seen how to practice the meditation. What is meditation is again a lot of confusion we have, and many people are described in different ways. But the way described by Patanjali or even Lord Krishna here, dharana is concentration. First you have to train your mind to concentrate. So that's you have to develop ability of concentration. Therefore, in meditation you can start with some japa or focusing on one object to develop concentration. When mind is able to concentrate, then focusing on one thought, what is the nature of the self? Bhagavan said that's meditation. Samadhi, object of my meditation. So my object of my meditation is to know myself. I right now know myself as this limited being. There is no confusion about it. I'm constantly in the state of this samadhi, that this is me. If I can change this status, this is not me, this is what chapter 2 told me, then who I am. That one thought, that object of my contemplation, when it becomes subject, then Bhagavan Patanjali says that's samadhi. When the object of a meditation becomes subject, in the state of samadhi, then mind is completely in the state of equal knowledge, same knowledge. Myself, my ego, the ahankar which I call myself, is nothing but the self outside. Bhagavan said, then you consider yourself that you have achieved that goal. Sarva bhutastham atmanam sarva bhutani cha atmani ikshate yoga yuktatma sarvatra samadarshanaha. You have seen the result of this practice. One who achieves this state, then he can touch the Brahman. He can contact Brahman very easily. When can he contact Brahman easily? This is what Bhagavan says. Sarva bhutastham atmanam sarva bhutani cha atmani. One who says that this self is residing in all beings and all beings are residing in that self. This contradiction we have been discussing in Bhagavad Gita, that either the God is within me or I am in the God self. And we have discussed this analogy before, Either the space is in my car or car is in the space. So from one perspective, I always see there is space in my car. Every car has space in it. But all cars are in the space. So when the car moves, I see that the space is moving with the car. So when I act in this world as myself and say, I am doing it, it is like the space moving in the car. The self in me is enabling me to do things, but it sees that as this body, mind, intellect, this entity is achieving it. I, as the occupant of the car, think the space is moving with the car. But an observer from outside, he sees that the car is moving in the space. Space remaining what it is, the car is moving in it. When both this I can see at the same time, then I have achieved, Bhagavan said, that state of yoga. Sarva bhutastham atmanam sarva bhutani cha atmani iksate yoga yuktata sarvatra samadarsanaha. He sees that everywhere. It is not that this consciousness is only in the sentient beings. One who achieves the state of complete understanding, he sees the consciousness in everything. Just as the space is not just in the cars, but the space is also in the buildings, it is also in the beings, space is also in objects. Space is everywhere. Things are in the space. At the same token, space in everything. From a physicist perspective, this world is made up of nothing but electron and two quarks. Everything in this world, any matter which I can say, is nothing but made up of the same material. It's just manifestation of that matter is different. With that manifestation, different qualities and very different characteristics. They interact with each other differently, but they remain fundamentally the same. Just as water is water, whether it is in liquid form or in solid form as ice or in vapor form as steam, it's still H2O. That I know from my high school chemistry. Bhagavan said, yogi knows that self, the all-pervading consciousness is same everywhere. Whether I see it within things and beings or I see things and beings in that consciousness. But when I can have both the perspective, right now only one perspective, that the Atma is within me, Atma is within you. That perspective now complemented with other perspective, that also all things and beings are in the self. Bhagavan said, then you have achieved the state of yoga. Yomam pasyati sarvatra sarvam chamai pasyati tasya hamna pranasyami sacha mena pranashyati. One who sees me, now here Bhagavan says, me, the Supreme Self. One who sees me everywhere and everything in me, such a person never loses contact with me. He will never lose that understanding that what I see is the manifestation of the same entity. I never have to remind myself that this is me. That's a state of samadhi. No matter what I am doing, I am constantly aware that this limited being is me. The yogi has achieved the dual perspective. He never loses that other perspective as well. And that is the contact with the Bhagavan, the contact with the Ishvara, the Almighty Self, which is pervading everywhere. Tasya ahamna pranasyami. That understanding of my Supreme Self is never lost on that yogi. Sacha mena pranasyati. And I never lose contact with him. In other words, this is the relationship of Supreme Self and a small conditioned self. It remains intact from both the perspectives. When I see from my perspective as Bhagavan's devotee, I still see the sameness. When I see as Bhagavan, that perspective remains the same. The point of perspectives are different, perspective remains the same. Bhagavan continues and says, Sarva bhuta sthitam yomam bhajati ekatvam asthitaha sarvatha vartmano api sa yogi mai vartate. now that yogi may be engaged in any activity, once he recognizes sarva bhuta sthitam yomam bhajati ekatvam sthitaha, one who is established in this unity, that unity of similarity of things and beings in their basic nature. The fundamentally things and beings are nothing but the one common entity, but they behave differently depending on the manifestation. And that unified view is established in my mind, then sarva bhuta sthitam yomam bhajati, then he starts seeing me in all beings. All beings, when I say, not only I see the exterior presentation, but I can see also the interior makeup of all things and beings. They are made up of the same thing. When it goes down to the fundamental basic ingredient which make things and beings what they are. Sarvatha vartmano api sa yogi mai vartate. That yogi may be doing anything, but he is only following my path. Swamiji explains here that here is where Bhagavan clarifies that once you realize it is not that you now sit down and do nothing. You can continue doing what you are supposed to do as your duties. Whatever role you have taken, as long as you are embodied, as long as you are living in this body, whatever role you have taken, you have to continue doing that role. No matter what I see the person is doing, but if their understanding is firm, Bhagavan said, Sa yogi mai vartate, he is only following my path. He may be a cobbler, he may be a great saint, or he may be a CEO of a company, and he is doing his job. But if the understanding is firm that I am following nothing but my dharma, Bhagavan said, no matter whatever he is doing my work only. It's not spiritual versus non-spiritual activity, sacred versus secular activities. All activities, as Swamiji says, have one life. No matter what you are doing, you are only doing for one thing and one thing alone, is to achieve your supreme happiness. Atma upamyena sarvatra samam pasvati yah arjunaha. Sukham va yadi va dukham so yogi paramo mataha. Atma upamyena, by seeing the sameness of Atma. Sarvatra samam pasyati yah arjuna. He sees the same Atma. So this sameness of myself is same as yourself and yourself is same as herself. They start recognizing that. Bhagavan said, he says sameness everywhere. When I start recognizing similarity, as we have discussed, rather than seeing differences in things, when I start seeing similarity, goldsmith sees similarity in all the ornament. There is nothing but gold, so I can weigh and make judgment of how much it is worth. But a person who is buying that ornament, he sees only differentiation. This necklace is better than that necklace. It is the change of perspective which one person achieves. Atma upamena sarvatra. He sees sameness everywhere. Sukham va yadi va dukham. Whether it is a conducive situation or unconducive situation. You start seeing that what is sukha to me is also sukha to others. What is dukha to me is also dukha to others. It's not that this is painful to me, but if I inflict on others, it will not be painful. What hurts me will also hurt others. Fire burns me. If I put fire on somebody's clothes, that will hurt them the same way it will hurt me. That recognition only occurs when I see sameness. We have seen in history that people have committed atrocities because they don't see other people as equal. They think they are inferior and we are superior. The superior people have right to do this to inferior people. But if you don't have this concept of superior and inferior, this sameness will not have any capability to perform any crime or any evil act. Therefore, it says sukham va yadi va dukkham. Whether happiness or unhappiness, comfort or discomfort, I see that is applicable to all. Sah yogi paramo mataha. When the yogi achieves this state, when he sees that the pain which other people are experiencing is the same pain I experience. Just as I help myself when I am in pain, I also need to help others when they are in pain. When I am rejoicing something which is good for me, I also should rejoice when something good happens to others. Bhagavan says, Sah yogi paramo mataha. I consider that yogi has achieved the highest goal in this spiritual quest. We'll stop right here. If you find this podcast helpful, please support it by donating any amount by going to the episode's website at neilbhatt.podbean.com or at chinmayarichmond.org. Thank you. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhave. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.